Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Patholkis, and this is Krypton, Season 2, Episode 7, Zods and Monsters. Welcome, everybody. Pretty damn good episode, actually, this time around. We got a little bit of a Doomsday backstory as well, so not bad. I'm going to take care of a little business first. If this is your first time watching, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button as well. You can hit the dislike button. I just ask that you go down below in the comment section. Tell me what it is you don't like about the show. Give me a little constructive criticism. Put it in there before you hit that dislike button there. Hey, Jar. Also, if you want to see when I'm going to be on live again next, you can hit the little bell down below there as well. It's not a foolproof thing. You get a 50/50 notification on that one. You can also go into the bell settings and get as many or as little notifications as you want. If you want to see when I'm really going to be on, you go on to my website, suspendedfanimation.com. I have the schedule up there. I redo it every week. It's also up on my Facebook page for Suspended Fanimation. I have a Twitter, I have an Instagram, and I also have a Patreon, but the Patreon doesn't have any tiers at the moment, so it's not up there. Hey, Mr. Roboto. So, with that out of the way, spoiler alert, I am going to spoil the shit out of the episode. If you haven't seen the episode, go and watch it. Come on back. This will be a video. You can comment down below in the comment section. Thank you, Viking Bitch. Hey, Joshua Marcusano. Welcome back. So, yeah, not a bad episode. And again, this is one of those things, like I keep saying, as long as you have a good villain and you keep bringing the villain in, that's what you want out of this, quite honestly. And this time around, we had 3 villains, not just 1 or 2, but we had Brainiac, Zod, and Doomsday. And we got, like I said, a little bit of Doomsday's background, which was not bad. Doomsday's not my favorite character, quite honestly, in DC, but on the show so far, it's actually not doing too bad. They're doing a good job of it. They've kind of taken Doomsday and made it their own, which is good. So they did Doomsday well. He was in a random ship deep in the underground, so sure to tell a tale about him. Okay, actually, I thought it was good. They did a good job. Sorry, just had to move something down there. So we open up with Zod addressing Kandor. That, about his mother's death and how, the rebels were trying to use it for fear. And of course, he was heartened to not see that the Kandorians took to that fear, but rejected it. In the meantime, we're also seeing him hunting down Doomsday with that giant gun that we saw at the end of the last episode. And Doomsday is coming rushing at him, and he's shooting him, and he has to readjust the gun, shoots him again, still coming at him, readjusts it again a third time, shoots him and takes him down. And Zod is still addressing the people of Kandor, and he says they no longer have to worry because he has captured a creature of lore, and shows Doomsday that he has Doomsday, and everyone cheers. And he says they've completed their first fleet of spacecraft, which are going to go to Wexthor and kill everybody there. And after that, they're going to do what Krypton should have done in the first place, and that is go out and conquer the rest of the galaxy, and everyone cheers. So, yeah. Zod has not waned in power in Kandor, at least. But, yeah. It's, he's bringing them back. So, Seg, of course, leads Brainiac away from his skull ship. So he is flying with Nyssa and Korvex in the skiff. And Nyssa even asks, goes, "Where are we going?" And Brainiac says, "That's a good question. Where are we going?" And then, Seg basically tells her, he goes, "Yeah, Brainiac can basically see everything I'm thinking of. So I need to get as far away from whatever he wants to go as possible." And Brainiac's like, "Nope, screw this. I'm taking over your body. We're going where I want to go." And basically Seg starts passing out and says, he's trying to take over, and he just is able to croak out fortress. So Nyssa takes the controls and starts flying them towards the fortress, which I thought was destroyed, but obviously is not. I guess it wasn't destroyed. So Kem, Val is talking to Adam, and Adam and Kem are there as well, and Adam realizes that Kem is going to be the one that's leading the mission for the little group that's going out there to go and find the rest of the Sagittari that are up on Wexthor. And Adam's a little bit put off. He's like, "Well, Val, why didn't you pick me?" And he says, "Well, because you weren't with the Sagittari for 6 months, fighting with them, learning everything that they did, and surviving. Kem was. That's what he was doing for the last 6 months." And Adam's like, "Okay, you got a point." And he goes, "So can I join him?" And he goes, "I don't know. Ask Kem." And so Kem makes a big show of it and makes him, speak a little bit louder in order to get on the team. And he says, "Yeah, sure, that's fine." And he goes, "But I'm kind of surprised." He goes, "I'm looking for new recruits, but no one wanted this." And he goes, "Well, what are we doing?" And Kem tells them, "We're going to go out and hunt down the rest of the Sagittari and neutralize them." And of course, there's a lot of dangerous stuff out there. There's radiation. He goes, "There's one radiation that you never know what it's going to do to you." He says, "One guy that I know, he had diarrhea so hard it actually shattered his skeleton." And he goes, "When I close my eyes, sometimes I can even smell it still." And he survived though. And basically he's trying to fuck with Adam at this point. Yeah. Nissa, in the meantime, gets Seg to the fortress, helps him inside, and of course they see Hollow Val there, and they need to get the. He basically tells Hollow Val that he needs to get Brainiac out of him, that there's nanites inside of him, and so Hollow Val starts setting up everything, and Seg says he wants to hold Corvex one more time, and then he collapses, so he's not able to at this point. Zod, in the meantime, has taken Doomsday down to get some somatic reconditioned with that scientist that he's been working with, the female scientist there. And she's basically saying, "Well, we have to get through the brain plate. He's got like some thick, he's got some thick defenses. It's hard to get through to that brain matter. And also he's got a lot of scarring going on as well." And we see that we go back 1,000 cycles, which I guess is 1,000 years ago is what it was. And we see this guy named Dax. He's inside a chamber, and he's telling his wife, Liz Sur, that he was told by the L's that he has the right genetic makeup. He's actually got a mutation that makes him perfect for this thing, and that he will be able to stop the war if he ends up going through this whole process. And she goes, "Well, you can always turn back. They always said that you can always turn back." And he goes, "Nope, I got to do it. We need to end this war." So we see the Zods and the L's are working together to transform him, and they have him in this chamber. And the L scientists, who I never caught her name because they said really really fast and only once, goes through test one, and test one basically kills him. And yeah, it's well, actually, before they do that, I take that back. She basically tells them that it's going to make him invulnerable to all these attacks. So this is the first round. And then we go back to Kem and Adam leading the team through the tunnels, and Adam basically giving Kem shit, saying, "You know what, I never thought you would actually lead a team like this." And Kem's like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You ran a bar 6 months ago, and poorly at that." And Kem, takes offense to it, of course, but it was a backhanded compliment is really what it was. And we see that excuse me, Kem second wants to bring in more troops, of course, and Kem doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to bring any reinforcements. He wants to push ahead because he knows, they've been searching around these tunnels. They've eliminated a whole bunch of the tunnels by process of elimination. He says they've got to be down this way. We're going to push ahead, because otherwise, if we don't, we're going to lose them again. We have to start all over, which he's right and also wrong at the same time. So Hollow Val, in the meantime, finds out that the nanites are on Seg's brainstem. It's very dangerous, and so he puts them in this machine that's basically going to eradicate all the nanites out of Seg's system. And as he starts running this thing up from his legs up, Brainiac takes over Seg's body and holds down the machine and breaks the machine. And Holovel says, okay, we need to do this manually. So we need to take a sonic scalpel and cut into the back of his head and pull it out from his brainstem, basically do brain surgery. And Nissa's the one that needs to do this. And Nissa's like, oh, no, 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 no. I'm not the one who's doing this. And Seg's like, yeah, just like you weren't the one to go to Wexlor, infiltrate the rebels, steal the Codec, bring it back down. Like you weren't the one to go into the house of Zod, into Zod's house unarmed, grab our baby, and jump out a window. He goes, you can do anything you want to, anything that you can put your mind to. He basically talks her into it. She's like, okay, you sold me on it. I'll do it. Why not? So we see Nissa performing brain surgery, essentially. She's cutting into the back of Seg's neck, and they're getting into where the nanites are at. So, yeah. Doomsday, in the meantime, has a lot of scar tissue in his brain, is what the scientist tells Zod. And Zod has, the scientists dig deeper, and we see the testing continue. And so Dax is in the chamber there, and he dies the first time around. And we see that the L has the power to resurrect him and resurrects him, and he's changed a little bit on the outside. They do the test again, and he survives it. So they go through test 2, which is fire. He dies again. She resurrects him again. And we see that the Zod is having a little bit of a problem with the morals of this whole thing, of what's going on. And at test, at one point they actually introduce a virus, and the virus makes him have spikes come out of his skin and all over the place. So this is where we see the spikes emerge from. And at test 105, he dies again, and she's going to resurrect him again. And the Zod's like, no, stop. We can't do this anymore. This is immoral. And she says, we need to keep doing this because they need to stop Kandor's attack on Argo City. So this all happened in Argo City. And, they're so close that, if this happens again, they need something. They need somebody like what they're creating with Dax, a superhero, if you will, in order to protect them. And he finally agrees. She resurrects him, and they start all over again. In the meantime, Holovel is able to remove all the nanites from Seg, and Seg wants to hold his son for the first time. But Nissa says she doesn't want Corvex to carry the Vex name anymore. She's ashamed of the Vex name and everything that she's done and her father has done. He's basically tainted the Vex name, is what she says. And she says the Vex line ends with her. And Seg's like, okay, we're going to name him jor-el then. And that's when Holovel says, traditionally, when adopting the L name, the baby is named after an ancestor. He goes, why don't you name him after my father, who is your great-grandfather? He wasn't very well known, but it's a good name. And he asked Nissa, and Nissa's like, yeah, that sounds good. And they both agree, and they rename Corvex as jor-el. Yes, so we've got Jor-el's lineage now right there. So I guess jor-el was the last of the L line to be genetically grown, I guess. Weren't the Zods from Kandor? They don't really say, Ejar. That's the whole thing. There was a little bit of discrepancy on that one. So Kem, Adam, and his team they get to a point in the cave there where Kem goes down this one side. And he says there's stellarium radiation, and it's really rampant. It actually took out one of his scanners, and he's going to go down by himself because he thinks that's where they're at. And he tells Adam to keep him and the team up there to stay. That's an order. And he heads down. And of course, Adam wants to go, with him. And Kim's like, no, I'm going by myself. That's it. That's, the whole thing. Just stay put to here, is what he tells him. In the meantime, we see the scientist digging down even deeper into Doomsday's core memories and finds them. And says this is where the mass of his core memories are at. And yes, you're right. Argo City is Supergirl's home. So Zod dismisses her, and then Zod addresses Doomsday and thanks him for his sacrifice. He knows what kind of hero he was. He knows the whole story, and said that he is like an arrow without a target, and he's going to give him a target, and he's going to have him fulfill his purpose. And then we go back to Doomsday's memory, and Dax's wife, which is Lissur is her name, she's holding a gun to the El and Zod that are down there, and she says the war is over. Kandor has given up. This is all done. This is all for naught. And the El scientist says, you know what? It's going to happen again. We need something like this as a assurance that if it does happen again, that we can stop it. And we're so close anyway at stopping, at finishing all these tests. And besides that, your husband is not your husband anymore. He's changed. And so she wants to go into the chamber and see him, and they're warning him that he is not the man that she thought he was, and he's not the man that she left there. Yeah, so she's tapping on the glass, basically saying, Dax, where are you? And of course, Doomsday walks forward, and she cannot handle it, of course, and she takes off in horror. Zod ends up using Lissur, his wife's name, as the trigger for Doomsday now at this point. Yeah, so kind of fucked up that he's actually doing that. Sag, in the meantime, changes clothes and gets a Superman insignia on his chest, or a Hope insignia on his chest. And just as he's changing into some new duds, what happens? But the alarm goes off that the nanites have escaped from the containment facility. And yeah, Sag says what we all say, shit, you know what? So Adam and the team are getting restless up on the top there. The team want to go down after Kem, and Adam's like, no, you got a direct order from your superior. We're going to stay here and until he comes back. If he doesn't come back, then we'll go, kind of thing. And just as they're pulling their guns on Adam and they're going to, basically go by force, who pops up but some people out of the cave that Kem had gone down. And Kem's like, no, don't shoot. These are Sagittari. They have, defected. They are no longer working for Zod. They're hungry and they're sick from the radiation. Give them your food, is what he tells them. And they're hesitant at first. And he goes, it's an order. Give them your food. And so they give them, their food and all this stuff. And he brings them over to Val. And Val, he basically explains to Val, he goes, they were told to wait down there by Zod until they got a word from Zod. He goes, of course, that never came. They were just abandoned by him. So they're now, they don't trust him anymore, and they're willing to work with them. So that's how it comes about. Yeah. And so as Val walks away, we see Kem and Adam bond a little bit, that Kem is made commander, and Adam, of course, is doing a, they both have a little bit of respect for each other at this point. So Sag, in the meantime, says the nanites could have traveled into any one of them. And he asked Hollow Val if he has the signature still. And he's like, yeah, sure. He goes, okay, scan us. First scan jor-el. So he scans jor-el, nothing. Scans Nyssa, nothing. And then there's like, well, it's got to be in me, is what he says. And as they're debating whether or not it's in him instead of scanning him, Hollow Val starts glitching, and we realize that Brainiac nanites have actually traveled into Hollow Val. Yeah. And kind of what I said was going to happen to begin with was that Brainiac was going to take over the fortress. I think I said this like 2 episodes ago, which, wow, big surprise on that one. Oh, man. So Zod is sitting there in his chair, sipping on gin and juice, taking a look out over the city, when what does he see? The skull ship flying over the skies of Kandor, and freaks the fuck out, drops his glass, and tells, his flunkies, get the troops up into the sky, get those ships up there, take that skull ship down. And Brainiac, in the meantime, has infected the fortress, and he has taken over Hollow Val too at this point, and he and Sag are talking, and he tells Sag, he goes, you know what, if you'd taken me to my skull ship, I would have honored our deal. He goes, I would have taken off. He goes, but now? He goes, no, the deal's off. He goes, and Kandor is a good specimen. I'm still going to take it. It's the best specimen of Kryptonian life, and he goes, I'm gonna essentially keep it forever in pristine condition. And he beams up to his ship, and then Brainiac says, you know what? On second thought, Kandor isn't the best representation of this, because the other thing is that Seg tells Brainiac that he's never going to join him. And Brainiac beams up to the ship and goes, you know what? On second thought, Kandor is not the best representation of Kryptonians. The House of El bloodline is. And he beams up Jor-el. Nyssa, of course, loses her shit and goes running for the beam, and Seg has to hold her back. And we see the ship, the skull ship, slowly float away. And of course, Zod is happy about that because it didn't take Kandor. But of course, Seg and Nyssa are more than pissed at this point. So are the House of El some kind of necromancers? No, they just know science. That's all. And whatever that mutation that Dax had was something that was able to bring him back to life. Excuse me. Yeah, Joe Greer. Cliffhanger. Dun dun dun. Weren't the Zods from Kandor is what Ejar asks. It's never really said where they're actually from. But that was the basis for Zod rebelling to save his home city of Kandor. No, he wanted to save all of Krypton. He's always said it's always been Krypton that he cares about. It's not just Kandor, but all of Krypton. Kandor just happens to be part of it as well. Kandor was the thing that broke his mother, so that's the reason why he kind of really wants Kandor to stay where it's at and not get taken by Brainiac, because that's what broke his mother. But since his mother is now dead, he doesn't have to worry about her being broken. How he's still around without her being alive, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. And yes, Argo City is Supergirl's home. It's Jor-el's brother. I'm blanking on his name now at the moment. So, yeah. Good episode. I mean, we got to see a little bit of Doomsday's background. We got Brainiac. Always when we see Brainiac, it's awesome, especially when he gets to be cut loose a bit. And we got Zod being evil, as Zod normally is, by using Dax's, i.e. Doomsday's wife's name as his trigger. Like, fuck, that's brutal, man. Joe Greer says, looks like Georgina Campbell isn't coming back. Really? Oh. Yeah, Ejar, who knows what they're going to do if they're following. I don't know if they're following comics now at all. They're just in what they're going to do. So yeah, I enjoyed the Krypton, the origin story of Doomsday. Kryptonian fire is hotter than Earth fire. I don't know. Fire is fire. Yeah, and I know with the Codex in play, and we've also seen the resurrection machine already, that Elida is not dead forever. Neither is Nissa's father. Nissa's father is not dead either at this point. When excuse me, when you have something like that, or you have a MacGuffin like the resurrection machine, which somebody's going to find in Argo City. You know this at this point, because now that they've put it in to the show, it is now something that people are going to look for. Someone's going to find it, and they're going to go, okay, we can resurrect people. We can bring them back. And then also you have the Codex, so you can make a clone body or something like that. And they've already done it with Nyssa. Obviously, since Nyssa is supposed to be a clone of her former self, and all her memories are shoved into that clone, if you will. So yeah, they are. I agree with you, Joshua. They are freestyling it because the timeline is far from the comics. Yeah, it's 200 years away from Superman. That's what they've said. Again, I don't know what Lobo's doing there, because Lobo is supposed to be around the same time as Superman, born and wise and all that stuff. So yeah, resurrection machine sounds like a bad idea to have around. Could be. Like I said, it's a MacGuffin. It's totally a MacGuffin. The one thing I didn't understand that I now just thinking back on it is when we saw in the first season when Zod and Seg both activate the machine by using their blood in the fortress in order to activate it. Why did Zod need Seg? Because he has both Zod and El blood inside of him, and he can activate it himself. He doesn't need, in order to open Doomsday's chamber. He didn't need Seg at all on that. He just needed himself. So I don't understand what that whole thing was all about. But who am I? I'm just some guy who maybe pays a little too much attention to detail sometimes. Where is the space elevator? It's floating around someplace, one of the orbits of Krypton. That's where it's at. Because it's disconnected from Wexlor. Yeah. And that's the other thing, too, is Wexlor is not getting any more supplies because they cut off the space elevator. And they can't grow anything up there because of the... Yeah. You're right, as usual, is what Pen Farm Girl says. Yeah, I'm sorry. I pay attention to too many details on these things, and I'm like, wait a minute, why didn't you... It's also, I've read a lot of stuff. That's the whole thing. I've read too much as well. I've seen too much. I've seen way too much. And, it's just little attention to details. That's all you need to do. If you're going to put this stuff in, you need to realize where you're going down the road, that someone's going to go, hey, wait a minute, what about... Yeah. Someone's going to ask that question sooner or later. So plan your shit out, kids, especially if you're going to work on a TV series. It's still good. It's just these little, I know it's a little nitpicky things like that turn people off on things like that. But it's one of those little nagging things in the back of my head. The writer's room, exactly. The writer's room needs to, tighten some of that shit up sometimes. I guess someone does have to point these. I don't know. Maybe someone says I'm going to be a little too nitpicky. I know someone did, and which, yeah, I need to write that quote down one more time because that was actually pretty damn funny what he said. That, yeah, my lack of, I forgot what it was. My lack of something bored the socks off of him, which I thought was good. They have writers? Yeah, they do. Lobo goes where he wants. Time be damned. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, if they're going to bring Lobo back into this series, they have to have a reason for it, and hopefully it's a good reason, not just to bring him in. Maybe that's why they're doing his own series, so they don't have to bring him back into Krypton, and they can bring his own ideas in there. Yeah. God, no, I don't want to work for their writers' room. Are you kidding? It's NBC, Pen. They will, I think they eat their own in that thing. Sorry if you guys, if anybody out there in the writers' room, you still live. Oh, you're still live. There we go. I'm going to bed. Yeah, well, go to bed, Movie Fanobi. Get out of here. Yeah, the rebellion plot is really bad, Joshua. I have to admit too. It's losing. It lost steam a while ago, and they need to just stick with Zod bad. Got to take over. Got to prevent Zod from doing whatever evil thing he's going to do. And now that he's got Doomsday as a weapon, you would think he's got Doomsday as a weapon. He's sitting back there drinking his drink, and he sees the skull ship. Hi, send Doomsday to the skull ship. Now that you control Doomsday, you just whispered Lissur into his ear, wherever his ear is located at, and tell him, hey, take out that ship. And he does it. Or maybe I'm just overthinking things. I don't know. A scheme to get relics from the past. I think Lobo is using a time hole. No, I don't think so. I thought they just put Post-it notes on a wall and threw pencils at them. No, that's the That's what would I discussed a long time ago that Big Bang Theory had the wheel of jobs and stuff like that they would spin, and situations. The situation wheel is what it was called. They'd spin the situation wheel, and whatever it landed on, that was what the episode was for the week. Yeah. That's what it was, Mufinobi. Thank you. Your lack of enthusiasm bores my socks off. I still love that quote. That's one of my favorite quotes. Yes, I am. That is one of the t-shirt comments that I want on there. On one of my shirts is your lack of enthusiasm bores my socks off. Because it does, you know. Thanks, Mufinobi. Good night. Your work here is done. You know there will be consequences when you work with. Yeah, you know that was the other thing too. The whole, again, you never want to bring in current politics, current current events into your sci-fi, or you can mirror some stuff, sure, but never want to call it out by name. See you, Mr. Roboto. I'm getting ready to wrap things up here too myself. But Adam is a minor character. Yeah, Adam is a minor character this season, Joe. I agree. He really is a minor character. And I'm okay with that because he's not the greatest actor and his character is kind of annoying, to tell you the truth. And if he's going to actually inject some stuff from the current comics, I guess you could say, about Superman and stuff like that, he's doing a horrible job of it. I think they've decided that they're going to do their own thing, and that Adam, I don't know what Adam's there for now at this point. I mean, yes, he's trying to help Seg get rid of Zod to, you know, make the timeline work again so that Superman exists, but I don't know if they remember that. If the writers even remember that at this point. Yeah. I mean, I almost didn't. I had to actually remember that from, pull it from the first season. That's what that whole thing was all about. That's the reason why Adam's supposed to be there, as he's supposed to make sure that Soups exists. Yeah. And I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know where they're going with it. It's like I said, it's a mess. Hopefully, well, I know Goyer's off on his own now. He's doing, like I said, he's doing his own stuff. So yeah. F Ejar. I know what you're talking about. F. So, if you like what you see here, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button down below as well. Also, if you want to see when I'm going to be on live again next, you can hit the bell down below. Just to let you know, it is a 50-50 proposition of you actually getting notifications from YouTube. You can go into the bell settings again, as many or as little notifications as you want. You can also go to my website, suspendedfanimation.com. My schedule is up there. It's also up on Facebook as well. On my Facebook page. I also have other stuff on the Facebook page too for Suspended Fanimation. It's really good stuff, if I don't say so myself. I also have a Twitter, I have an Instagram, and I have a Patreon as well. If you're still on the fence about joining up, you're going to see a video pop up here. It's going to take a look at your algorithms. YouTube is. It's going to pick a video from my vast video library, match into those algorithms, plop it up there just for you. And up here is going to be yesterday's, or well, last week's Krypton. I did a review of it yesterday. It's going to pop up there. Good night. Who else got the Man Thing pop vinyl? I don't know. I didn't, because that line, I didn't get any. I didn't win the lottery in order to get into that line, so I said, screw it. They don't need my money anymore. SyFy is a Grim Reaper, and I don't think they're going to cancel this show. It's getting too much press, and it's I don't think they're going to cancel it anytime soon. This is going to be the one show I think that's going to go to like season 7 on SyFy. This really will be, and they're not going to know what to do with it, quite honestly. Yeah, I'm telling you right now, Joker, season 7 is how long this thing's going to go. Yes. I know SyFy cancels everything. They're not going to cancel this one. This is going to be something that's going to live forever. It's going to be like, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You think it's done, but no, it just keeps shambling along. By the way, that's actually finally canceled. Thank God. I mean, it's 7 seasons, but actually it's 6 seasons because they cut the 6th season in half to a season 6 and a season 7. So yeah. So the plot will be bad forever. It was written by David S. Goyer. But you're covering it. Doesn't that spell cancellation? No, see, Pen Farm Girl, I have to love it, or like really love it, and cover it at the same time, and then it gets canceled. Hence, iZombie, Legion, Counterpart, Swamp Thing. Yeah. So now I'm trying a new tactic where I find something that about a show that I love that I really don't like, and that way I don't love it completely. And the Tick, thank you, yes, Pen Farm Girl. Something that about a show that I really love that I don't like, so I don't love it completely, and that way it doesn't get canceled. That way I don't taint it, I don't jinx it. Yeah. I was trying to tell you Saturday night, Dennis. So about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Oh, the boys' early renewal. Yeah, I had Joe. I found out about that Friday night. I was at the panel for it when they said it. I was at Comic-Con. Oh, for S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay. Yeah, S.H.I.E.L.D. I'd quite honestly, who died off of S.H.I.E.L.D.? I have no idea. I haven't watched it. I might go back and watch the truncated, season 6 and season 7 here and see, what they finally did, and fast forward through some of the stuff. That might be about it. But anyway, I digress. Wait, weren't you at Comic-Con? Yeah, just because you're at Comic-Con doesn't mean that you hear everything, because you have very bad Wi-Fi and cell reception. So you can't see everything, you don't hear about everything, because you cannot be everywhere all at once. So it's whatever room you're in, that's what you get. No, really, I was, Joe. Hey, Joe, how's it going? I am spending the weekend with the boys, and I don't care who knows it. Yeah, Slurmy. I will be too. I'm already 2 episodes up on you guys already, the first 2 episodes. And I think there's 10, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe there's 12. I don't remember. So, yes. Yeah. So I'm going to be covering that too. So tomorrow is iZombie. Friday is Swamp Thing. Saturday is a double header. Saturday is Saturday Morning Blast Off in the morning, hence Saturday Morning Blast Off in the title, and the boys in the afternoon. Yeah. And of course, Monday is going to be Legion. I am Legion. Exactly. Legion. So, with that said, I'm going to let you guys go. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the like button. If you're still on the fence, take a look at the video here. Take a look at the other video over here. And I will let you guys go for the evening. Thank you to everyone who joined me tonight in the chat. And also you, if you made it all the way through this video and you made it up to here, I salute you. Thank you very much. And don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, someone may give you a little somatic reconditioning. Find out who your girlfriend's name is and use it as your trigger word. Listen. Good night, everybody. Thank you. And good night.